one, the only Cam Jordan of the Saints.
Yeah. Real big. Super excited.
Along with Kimberly A. Martin and Field Yates. That was quite an entrance.
You are.
Well done.
I was kind of thinking it was me as a special guest today until I saw the first round pick back in 2012.
Until we saw the stats.
2012 was probably a good year, but it wasn't the greatest draft ever.
2011. 2011.
Yeah, come on.
And that was the last time you were here, right? When you were a rookie in 2011?
It was about to be a rookie, maybe. It was like the WNBA draft. It was like that Maya Moore draft class is what I call it. I'm sure,
Wow.
there's others.
So you were here when Maya Moore was drafted.
I'm old.
That kind of puts it in perspective. 15th season in the NFL. You said Dad got all the way
played
to 13.
Right? Good for us.
Yeah.
We're headed into year 28 as Jordan men.
So we gotta do better than Steve. All right,
you got to do better than your dad.
15.
You have sons so they can uphold and carry the legacy.
I love it. I love it. All with one team. Your dad, unbelievable with Minnesota. All right, let's start with the team that everybody's chasing in the other conference, the one that you don't play in the AFC. All right, we're going to start with the Kansas City Chiefs. New on NFL Live, Andy Reid spoke to the media today. Here is what he had to say.
Obviously, I think everybody right now is sitting there going, yeah, you want to win the Super Bowl. That's what you want to do. So, but we're right there. That's our primary goal is to put ourselves in the best position we can to win.
We have an expectation that we're going to go out there and score every single drive. But that comes with a lot of single reps, a lot of practice reps, a lot of time spent with the guys. And so it takes every single person in the building to go out there and have the top offense in the league. And so we have to just go into every practice, every film study, whatever that is, with that mindset that we're going to get the best out of it.
And listen, they can get better. It was a struggle for the Chiefs to move the ball at times last season. They ranked 29th in the NFL in yards per rush, fourth worst. That was also the Chiefs' worst in the season since, oh my gosh, 2011. Why do we keep going back to that year, Cam? Kansas City up their design run rate to 37% last season. That was their highest with Patrick Mahomes as the starter. Obviously, they're going to get some help back at wide receiver. Let's hope that offensive line gets straightened out. Things are looking good there. Why are they able to retool and be in contention every year?
When you say retool, we do know the main driving force is Andy Reid, Pat Mahomes. You add in Travis Kelce. And other than that, you retool sounds a little aggressive. I'm thinking in my mind, every year we look for reasons why they won't win. And for some reason, the Chiefs only know how to win. We talk about their lowest run percentage, et cetera, 29th. I don't know if they're going to be able to beat the whoever, and yet they always do.
Right.
They always do. So until they don't, I'm a firm believer in history keeps repeating itself.
They'll be really good.
Low first-round draft picks. I mean, they seem to they scout. They do everything right. And
they say things like, who's the receivers? And they have Hollywood Brown, and they have all these guys that pop up late and they show up.
Coming back.
Absolutely.
Right.
But if they're going to get back to the offense that we saw a few years ago, they need to be far more explosive. We touched on this yesterday during NFL Live, but to reiterate, the Chiefs averaged their fewest yards per rush, their fewest yards per passing attempt. They had their fewest explosive runs. They had their fewest explosive passes in any year with Patrick Mahomes as their starting quarterback. How do they become more explosive? Having Rashee Rice healthy and having Xavier Worthy continue to develop, because he did come on last season, will help. I think their third-round rookie, Jalen Royals, might be able to help a little bit, too. Rookies would have a little bit of a buffer getting into the zone. That being said, 2 seasons ago, he had 7 50-plus yard receiving touchdowns at Utah State. That was the most in the country and the 4th most amongst any player in the FBS over the last 20 seasons. And the 2 guys at the very top of that list, Jamison Williams, Jamar Chase, those guys, very fast, the kind of players that we know can flip a game on its head in a hurry. I think the Chiefs just this year, maybe a few less grinded out drives, a few more press the easy button drives, make your defense feel good with a 7-0 lead early.
Yeah, all those close wins last year. Again, you can't afford to do that all the time. You can't afford to make that a habit. We saw what happened in the Super Bowl, Kimberly, and you were there in Kansas City last week, right? What's the vibe, Kimberly?
So I'm glad you feel especially, and you were detailing all those stats that show how much the Chiefs struggled, because I was there in Kansas City this week, and I talked to Andy Reid, and I talked to Patrick Mahomes and Chris Jones and other guys about basically the fact that they got slapped in the mouth. They got punched in the face by the Eagles. And one thing that Andy Reid said to me was, I wanted to see how guys would come back, how the coaches would come back in the offseason, the players. Did everybody feel like they had something they needed to improve on? And Andy Reid said, yeah, I feel really good about that, because all the stats that you mentioned were ways in which that they need to improve this season, but injuries are key. Health is key. Even Travis Kelce, you don't need Travis Kelce to be the Kelce of old, but you just need somebody else to complement him and what this offense can do. And this team understands that we are a championship-only team. That's what we're looking at. I think that was a wake-up call, you know? And they're fine being the villains. Nobody wanted to see them three-peat last year. I think they're going to come in, and as Patrick Mahomes told me, he said, "I'm hungry."
Yeah, I love it. Well, is he ever not hungry?
First of all,
I think
if it's
that's
not
like
the Saints, I don't care who wins the Super Bowl. 3-peat, 2-peat, first time, I don't care. If it's not black and gold, it does not matter to me.
See, y'all don't have to contend unless you get to the Super Bowl
Exactly.
with these teams.
We're fighting for it. You know,
That's right.
That's what I'm like. Nobody wanted to hear him three-peat. Actually, didn't really care.
You're good. You're good. You know who does not want to hear that is the Ravens. We're going to talk about the Ravens right now. Okay. So according to our ESPN analytics, 3 teams stand out to win the AFC in 2025. That would be the Chiefs, the Bills, and the Ravens. Obviously, no surprise there. No other team even has a 10% chance to do it, according to our numbers. Ravens have not made a Super Bowl since 2012. They could be inching closer to that goal, obviously, with the addition of Pro Bowl corner Jair Alexander. That's quite a secondary there. Coach Harbaugh with more on the move.
He's excited to be here. We're excited to have him. He had been kind of behind the scenes in the works a little bit, and I know he wanted to be here, and we wanted him here. You know, so for it to work out the way it did, made Lamar happy. You know, I think it made everybody happy. It's just an opportunity to become a better team in that sense today. So we're really excited about it.
I think a quote that's never been said and probably will never be said in NFL history is, "We got too many corners that can cover." So I think that's a great problem to have, and really excited for that addition.
So we've got all the starters now, first-round picks. Really interesting lineup, at least in name. How do you like this addition?
Man, I would say they already had Marlon Humphrey, as you just saw, Kyle Hamilton. You know, you got Roquan Smith. Yeah. And you look at the defense, it's like you can't not name somebody, you know?
Exactly.
And so they add in Jair, and you're like, again, all-pro guy. Like, that's what you say is going to help elevate your game. I don't understand, you know, how we go each and every year say, hey, you know, Baltimore Ravens, they're going to beat the Kansas City Chiefs this year. The Buffalo Bills, they're going to beat the Kansas City Chiefs this year. Yeah. But when you think about who's at the top, until they knock off Big KC at the top, they're going to keep on swinging. Now, I think they had a heck of an acquisition right there in Jair, but let's not get it twisted. Everybody's aiming for the throne.
Yeah, they're loaded.
So Camp's point about, this is how I feel about the move. I think it looks good on paper. But Jair Alexander hasn't been healthy the last 2 seasons. That's also part of it. So we have to wait and see if he will be healthy. But bigger than that to me, felt like without Jair, this Ravens team had everything it needed last season to win it all. And when I look at the Ravens, the biggest issue to me on this team is the Ravens themselves and the inability to finish. Lamar Jackson talked about that this week, that he needs to be better. I don't think we're going to see another situation where Mark Andrews drops a pass on the goal. Knock on wood, I don't think we'll see that again. Yeah. But the emotional toll of all of these games where they sit back and say, how the hell did we lose that game? Yeah.